of Sri Ramakrishna and pray for the peace and joy of the whole humanity. Shanti, 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Sapakaya Jadhamasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Sapakaya Jadhamasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatarvarishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been discussing some of the points said by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel, chapter 27. To the question by a sadhaka, what's the way? Sri Ramakrishna gave a straight reply: faith in the Guru's words. One attains God by following the Guru's instructions step by step. It is like reaching an object by following the trail of a thread. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. If one could have that tremendous faith in the Guru, one is sure to reach the goal of life. One is sure to be liberated from all sufferings and bondage. So here Sri Ramakrishna is suggesting that we should cherish remarkable faith in the Guru. It means that the Guru occupies the central place in our spiritual unfoldment and final elimination. In the last class I was telling about there are three types of guru. One is the divine guru. The second one is the inner guru. The third one, the human guru. We were discussing about some of the points regarding the function of the divine guru. The incarnation plays the role of the divine guru. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. We offer salutations to Lord Krishna, the teacher of the universe. So the incarnations come to re-establish dharma. How does he do it? By starting a new spiritual tradition. He sets forth sampradaya. He gives proper direction to the spiritual aspirants. Shri Krishna tells Arjuna that yoga was first taught by him to the sun god. The sun god then taught that yoga to the Manu, the first human being. From him the knowledge was handed down to posterity by a succession of teachers, and over the period of time it was gradually lost. So the avatar's mission on earth is to rejuvenate dharma by resuscitating this divine wisdom, and for this the incarnation starts a new spiritual tradition. What I said, sampradaya, of which he becomes the highest teacher. So when we offer our salutations to Guru, we offer flower uttering the name Parameshti Guru. The supreme teacher. It is in this sense Lord Krishna, Lord Christ, Lord Buddha, Shankara, Sri Ramakrishna, they are all regarded as the world teachers. They come not for the sake of a selected group. No, these incarnations, they are concerned about the spiritual welfare of the whole world. So they set a series of steps to be followed so that whoever follows them would receive the highest spiritual knowledge, would be free from all sufferings in the world, would attain liberation. So that is the purpose of the divine Guru, and then he trains a band of spiritual aspirants. he blesses them with the spiritual knowledge so that in turn they should be able to transmit the spiritual knowledge to the people at large. Swami Vivekananda came here to America just for this sake of imparting that spiritual knowledge, the knowledge of the Upanishads, which was unknown to the people. For the first time he came here to give that spiritual knowledge. For the first time he opened the eyes of the people. Look, why are you so miserable? Why are you so hopeless? You are not to be that way because you are potentially divine. All this suffering is because of your ignorance about your true nature. Your true nature is you are divine. For some reason you have forgotten that. Now you have to get back to that original state. How to do that? Practice this way, you will get it. That's how Swami Vivekananda gave the message. So, Swami Vivekananda is considered as an Acharya, the spiritual teacher of the world in the modern times. So much about the Divine Guru. Of course, you can talk even more on this aspect. The second type of Guru, which I had mentioned in my last class, the inner Guru. All these Gurus are very important in our unfoldment of life. The more reverence, the more inclination, the more contact we establish with these Gurus, the better for us. Because spiritual life demands your 100% practical life. To be frank with you, there is no question of 50% worldly life, 50% spiritual life. You can't have spiritual unfoldment fully if you cherish that idea of 50% in the world, 50% in the spiritual realm. You can't sail in the two boats. Either you sit in the worldly boat or you sit in the spiritual boat. You can't put one leg in one boat, another leg in another boat and want to sail. So, what I mean to say, the Guru plays a very important role in the spiritual life. The more you become aware of it, it is good for you. In the Eternal Companion, Swami Brahmanandaji, the first president of the Ramakrishna mission, the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, the spiritual dynamo, he said, "Know this, there is no greater Guru than your own mind." M-I-N-D. Well, for some reason the mind has become impure. So it is not playing the role of a Guru. So we are in trouble. So we are in search of the external Guru. So we are in search of people, holy people, so that we may find some way. That's why Sri Ramakrishna tells again and again what is needed most is first purify your mind before talking anything about spiritual life, before talking anything about spiritual unfoldment, before talking samadhi. First purify yourself. Remove all the impurities blocking your way in the mind. Keep the mind clean, spotless. Then you will see the wonders. Then you will see how the power of Guru works through that purified mind. So Sri Ramakrishna tells, you have to purify your mind by prayer, by contemplation. Then you will be able to have direction from within. Even in our daily duties, this inner Guru will guide you and will continue to help you until the goal is reached. Though the spiritual knowledge may come from the divine Guru or the human Guru, it is ultimately the aspirant's own mind that has to receive and assimilate it. Assimilation is important. The ordinary mind can know only physical objects and sensations. Even if this mind receives spiritual instructions, it can't experience the truth or reality. In order to know spiritual truths, one needs a divine eye, divya chakshus, or inner eye. It's a special eye, E-Y-E. Referring to this, Swami Brahmanandaji again says in the Eternal Companion, behind this mind of ours, there is a subtle spiritual mind. Everyone has that spiritual mind. One is this gross mind, which operates in this world, which involves you in all sorts of things in this world, which makes you more and more miserable all the time, which makes you cry and weep. But there is another mind, the subtle mind, that is spiritual mind. How does it exist? It exists in seed form. In seed form. So through the practice of contemplation, through the practice of prayer, through the practice of japa, repetition of the divine name, this mind is developed. This mind means the spiritual mind which was in the seed form would be developed. And with this development, a new vision opens up and the aspirant realizes, experiences many spiritual truths. What is meant here is the buddhi or the intuitive faculty which lies dormant in most of the people, it gets awakened through purification and prayers. There's a well-known Gayatri prayer. All these prayers have got special significance in our spiritual realm. These prayers are meant to awaken this dormant intuition. Lord Krishna calls this awakened faculty as Sattvika Buddhi. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse number 30, Lord Krishna says, Pravartincha nivrittincha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham mokshancha yaveti buddhissa partha sattviki. That which clearly distinguishes between action and inaction, what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what leads to bondage and what leads to liberation, that intellect is Sattvika. Lord Krishna has said this very clearly. So, we should develop that Sattvic mind. Once this is awakened, once you are well established in Sattvic mind, then that Sattvic mind acts as the inner guru and guides you in the spiritual path. However, this awakening takes a long time. Until then, the aspirant has to be very cautious about the workings of his own mind. We should become aware of two dangers involved in the concept of inner guru. There are two dangers here. We should be aware of them. One is to confuse it with reason. Reading and analysis are functions of ordinary mind. Knowledge derived through it need not always be true. For reasoning, when practiced by an ignorant or impure mind, can lead one astray. The second danger is to make one's own unconscious desires and fantasies for the divine voice or divine command. A good deal of misery has been caused by these fanatics who mistook the promptings of their impure and confused minds for divine inspiration. It is not so easy to hear the divine voice, and the awakening of the inner guru is usually not possible without intense practice of purification and prayer. Therefore, the spiritual aspirants, for them it is safer during the early stages to depend upon the guidance of an external human guru than on one's own impure mind. In the beginning, it is necessary that one should become associated with the external guru not to depend upon one's own mind which is not yet purified. Later stage, mind becomes inner guru, then only you can depend upon it. Not till then. Now coming to the third category, the human guru. Who is this human guru? Guru in the human form, where we see many gurus in the world operating upon, disseminating spiritual ideas all over the world. There are so many types of gurus giving spiritual ideas to the people. The human guru is the agent who awakens the inner guru and brings about the union of Jivatma with the Paramatma, the individual spirit with the Supreme Spirit. Though this is the main work of the Guru, he actually performs several functions in the life of disciple. He is closely connected with the spiritual development of the disciple. The first is to instruct the aspirant about his spiritual ideal and the means of attaining it. In the path of devotion, this means helping the aspirant to fix his mind on his Ishta Devata, chosen deity, through a technique of meditation which the Guru himself had practiced and tested in his own life. To the beginner, spiritual life is a wholly unknown territory, and before he attempts to travel, he needs the guidance of one who has already traversed it. So here, what does a Guru do? He removes the darkness of ignorance about the path from the mind of the disciple. He assures the disciple, don't worry, don't lose hope. So Guru helps a lot the disciple. Actually, the word Guru is coined. Gukaro andhakarastu Vukarastanivartakaha Andhakara nivartyatu Guru vityabhidhiyate. That means Guru means one who removes the darkness of ignorance. He is called Guru. Is it not enough if the aspirant himself chooses an ideal and learns a technique of meditation by reading the books? Why external Guru is required at all? The disadvantage of such an endeavor is that it does not generate faith in the reality of the goal and the possibility of attaining it. So what does Guru do? He does not merely inform, he instills faith in the disciple. Faith
is not just a simple belief. It is the orientation of the soul towards an ultimate goal. It is the awakening of the soul from its sleep of ignorance. This orientation, this awakening comes only when the mystical words issuing from the lips of a guru touch and inflame the heart of the aspirant. The faith of a beginner in spiritual life is seldom stable. It ebbs and flows. The continuity of aspiration and practice is broken by periods of sluggishness, dejection, dryness, and despair. So the disciple's faith is shaky. Faith is not well established. This happens only to those who don't have close contact with the Guru, those who maintain a living contact with their Guru find a perennial fountain of faith and aspiration constantly flowing within them. The need of Guru's presence and guidance are invaluable. Many aspirants, they are too inexperienced to understand the workings of their own minds and the pitfalls on the path of striving. Intense practice often releases forces which many aspirants may not know how to manipulate. To monkey with the hidden powers of the mind and the psychic high tension wires is as risky as playing with fire. There is a famous instance we find in Great Master. There were two spiritual aspirants practicing spiritual disciplines. In course of time they got spiritual powers. Once Sri Ramakrishna had gone to Shambhu Malik garden. After spending some time, he was to return to the Dakshineshwar temple. It was quite dark. There was no lamp posts on the way. It was pitch dark. How to go? Somebody has to bring the light. So he was just thinking about that. Suddenly one spiritual aspirant came forward and said, "Master, you don't have to worry for the light. Look." He raised his armpit. He raised his shoulder. From his armpit, a blazing light issued forth, which lighted the whole pathway up to the Dakshineshwar temple. The whole pathway was lighted up. Brilliant light. Sri Ramakrishna told him, "Well, why are you using this power? The more you use this power, the more you lose your spiritual vigor. Don't do that." till you realize the highest truth. Don't run after these things. Then Sri Ramakrishna himself tells, I withdrew that power which he had. For his development, Sri Ramakrishna tells that very clearly. In order to see that he improves, goes higher up, I withdrew that power, which was distracting him. Every now and then he would raise up his arm. There is another person who had developed a power, psychic power. What is that power? He could become invisible. It is not a story. It all happened. He could become invisible. He was very much elated to have that power. What? Can I become invisible? True. But what happened? Because the mind was not purified enough, because there was some desires, some dusty corner of the mind, he began to come in contact with a girl in a rich man's family. He could land in the apartment of the girl, invisible. He established contact with that girl, and that was the end of his spirituality. The mind was degraded. The mind which was soaring high just dropped down, broken into pieces. He was completely lost. Sri Ramakrishna warned him about that. But then it took some time for that aspirant to understand what Sri Ramakrishna had told him. For some reason, finally he became terribly dejected. He simply came running, literally running from Calcutta to Dakshineshwar temple, several miles, running and running and running. When he reached the temple, he was totally exhausted. He had no clothes on his body, just a small towel, bathing towel he had on his body. That's all. He came running and weeping in order to see Sri Ramakrishna. Where is Sri Ramakrishna? I want to see him. I am urgently in need of the master. But the master had passed away by that time. Finally, it is said that he was not known afterwards. Where did he go? Some say he went to forest. Anyway, the story goes like that. So, what is the use of such powers? There was one person came to Ganges. It happened in America. I had been to Ganges in my usual visits. One person had come there, some followers were there, and those followers introduced that person to me, and they were just praising that person. You may call him a holy person. It's all right. And he was talking, then immediately he said, Swamiji, look here, I will show you something. So he just rubbed his hand about 2-3 seconds, and then he put his palm on my nose. How do you smell it? Please smell. Most beautiful fragrance I smelled. From where did it come? It came from nowhere. Power. There's so many powers are there. What is that? Have you realized God? Have you seen God? That question is not answered. So, why are you bothered about those things? So, one has to pay primary attention towards purifying one's mind. Purification of the mind is very important. That's what Sri Ramakrishna wants. Those who come to Vedanta, those who come as students of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother and Swamiji, the first priority is to purify your mind. Nothing else. Let God relation stay afterwards. Let it come afterwards. First of all, purify your mind. Then only you are building up that infrastructure. Then only be able to have stability in the mind, and finally you will have wonderful results. The second function of the Guru is to awaken the power of spiritual intuition in the disciple. It is stated in a hymn on the Guru. Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. The preceptor opens the eye of the disciple, blinded by ignorance, by applying the collyrium of knowledge. Generally, we all open our eyes, our outer eyes, we know how to open them. The ordinary teacher opens the ordinary mind. The spiritual preceptor opens the inner eye or the divine eye, E-Y-E, eye. This divine eye, the power of intuition lying dormant in all people, that the spiritual preceptor opens up. This inner eye cannot be opened without spiritual power, without the quickening impulse, as Swami Vivekananda calls it. In his talks on Bhakti Yoga, Swami Vivekananda explains, this quickening impulse cannot be derived from books. The soul can only receive impulses from another soul and from nothing else. We may study books all our lives. We may become very intellectual. But in the end, we find we have not developed at all spiritually. In spite of all knowledge occupying your mind, you are totally ignorant about spirituality. The person from whose soul such impulse comes is called Guru, the teacher. Swami Vivekananda tells in his complete works, volume number 3. Now, how does the Guru transmit this quickening impulse to the disciple? How does he do that? He does this through a process called Diksha or initiation. There is an Upanishad by name Tejo Bindu Upanishad. It tells that initiation is of 3 types. One is Anava, Second one is Shakta. Third one is Shambhava. I am explaining all these three. What is Anava? In this type of initiation, Guru communicates a mantra to the disciple. And if the disciple repeats it with faith and purity of mind, this leads to the gradual unfoldment of his spiritual potential. So this category of initiation is called Anava. The second one, Shakta. Here, Guru transmits power directly by a touch